of the United States of America and to the republic
for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And Mr. Dawes is going to do a small invocation for us.
Almighty God, we come before you this hour asking for your blessing and help as we are gathered together. We thank you for the many blessings you have bestowed on our community. Tonight, we pray for guidance in the matters at hand and ask that you would clearly show us how to conduct our work with a spirit of discernment and wisdom. Please give us the desire to find ways to excel in our work as elected representatives of the people of Georgetown. Help us to work together and encourage each other to excellence. We ask that we would be granted, again, wisdom and discernment in conducting the affairs of the town government. As always, those of us that pray, each pray to you in the manner we were taught. Amen.
Thank you very much. Now, as we begin this meeting, for those of you that are here for the first time, which I don't think are too many, you see more familiar faces than anything, the purpose of this town meeting is for the voters to approve or disapprove monies allocated to the town departments necessary for their operation, to be moving some money around, and we are going to be voting on a moratorium. My role in tonight's meeting is to maintain order and to make sure that the meeting is run so that everyone can be heard that wishes to be heard. Our staff outside, our tellers, thank you very much for coming in and doing this for the town. We have Gloria and Joe, Sandra, Sue, Scott, we have a husband and wife team this time, and Kathleen. So thank you very much for doing that. We do have some non-voters over in this side of the stage area that work for the town. But as non-voters, they are sitting there. We have a couple of non-voters that are sitting with their departments. Superintendent Jacobs is one, and I think everybody else is sitting over in the non-voter section, so we're all set. Unless there is an objection, I will allow non-voters to speak if I feel it's necessary. The voting members on stage are, from the Select Board, David Surface, Gary Fowler, Doug Dawes, Joseph Bonavita, and Stephen Sadler. Our town clerk, Jan McCrane, and her assistant, Kathy Roach. Non-voters on stage, town administrator Mike Farrell and Tom McMenamy, our town council. Our finance committee is down over here in this particular corner. And we have Ed Dobie, Sheila Ruth, Wayne Snow, Matt Newhall, and Lou Mimolette, who is our newest member. Now, the procedure of the meeting will be, as a motion is called, I will ask for a second, then I will ask for a response from the Finance and Advisory Board, and then anyone can come to the microphone that wishes to be heard. We have 2 microphones set up. Please just line up and be ready to speak. If you have a question or something to contribute, please feel free to come forward and be heard. You must state your name and your address clearly and distinctly so that our tape recorder and our town clerk and her assistant can get your information. If you try and turn away from the microphone to speak to the audience, we will not be able to get that information at all. Under Mass General Laws 39, Section 15, I have the prerogative of deciding all questions of order, and relying on that, I can make ruling as issues of order come up. At this time, I will entertain a motion to adopt a rule of this meeting, a 5-minute speech limit during the discussion period of each article. Do I hear such a motion?
So moved, Madam Moderator. Harry Locke, 124 Jewett Street.
Thank you. Do I hear a second?
Second, Bob Watts, 9 West Street.
Thank you. This requires a 2/3 vote. All in favor? Use your voting slips. Opposed? It carried, not unanimously, but it did carry. Article 1. And the motion is going to be done by FinCom. Mr. Doty.
Article 1, adjustments to the fiscal year 2017 operating budget, STM 17-01. Motion, I move that the town amend the vote taken under Article 2 of the 2017 annual town meeting warrant for the purpose of reducing the amount to be raised and appropriated from $28,820,366 to $28,796,436, and increasing the amount to be transferred from the Community Preservation Reserve, the debt service, from $175,575 to $199,475, and further to adjust the following line items. Police protection purchase of services, line item 012-10570, an increase of $10,000. BOS admin and finance purchase of services, 011-22570, an increase of $9,800. Assessors purchase of services, 011-41570, an increase of $20,000. Reserve fund, 011-32570, $73,879. Debt service, Pembroke School Construction, 017-10930, a decrease of $100,000. Debt service, Middle High School Construction, 017-10932, a decrease of $40,000.
Do I hear a second?
Do I hear a second? Wayne Snow. Okay, can you read the numbers to be raised and appropriated from
Those two numbers. The
28?
Can you read those two numbers again?
The assessors?
No, the 28 million from the top.
Oh, 28,820,336.
To,
$28,796,436.
okay. How's that? Discussion. Is there any discussion? Would anybody like to be heard on this motion? Finance and Advisory Board, you made the motion. Would you like to do a report on it?
Finance and Chair of the Finance and Advisory Commission voted unanimously to approve.
Okay. Is there any discussion? The lights are very bright tonight. I don't know if they're putting bulbs in or what. But it requires a majority. All in favor? Opposed? The motion carried, not unanimously, but it did carry by majority. Article 2, Capital Fund. And we need to have your name, please.
The voice isn't as loud as that. Is that better?
Is that on? Yeah. There we go. Okay, so Sheila Ruth is my name. It's Article 2, Capital Fund, STM 17-02. And the motion is, I move that the town raise and appropriate $100,000 to be added to the capital fund, a special purpose stabilization fund created by vote of the May 4th, 2009 annual town meeting pursuant to the provisions of Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 40, Section 5B. Said funds to be further appropriated by town meeting for improvements and/or repairs to municipal buildings and infrastructure.
Do I hear a second?
What's the amount?
The amount is $100,000 to be added to the.
Okay, excuse me, the questions come to me and then go from there. But first I'm going to have a report from the Finance and Advisory Board.
Finance and Advisory Board voted unanimously to approve.
Okay, so if anybody has a question or a comment, please come to the microphone.
Point of order, Stephen Epstein, 55 West Street. The motion is not in order because it does not say where the money is coming from.
It did.
No, it didn't. She didn't say where it was coming.
Raise and appropriate $100,000. Town council agrees.
From where?
Raise and appropriate is taxation. It doesn't have to say where. And if you would like to speak, come to the microphone. Thank you very much. Any other comments? This is also a majority vote. All in favor? Opposed? The motion did carry with majority. Article 3.
Madam Moderator, I move that the town transfer $100,000 from free cash to be added to the tax stabilization fund.
Second.
Mr. Epstein, seconded. Report from the Finance and Advisory Board, please.
The Finance Advisory voted unanimously on approval of this recommendation. Approval recommendation.
Thank you. Discussion on Article 3.
Epstein, West Street, 55. I want to thank Mr. Surface for telling us where the money came from. I assume it's coming from free cash on Article 2, but I haven't a clue because nothing was said in the motion.
We're now discussing Article 3, and Article 3 says free cash. Anybody else on Article 3?
Madam Moderator, just Harry Lefty, 144 Jewett Street. Just a quick question. What is the tax stabilization fund? What does that do? I'm not familiar with it. Pardon my ignorance.
Mr. Service.
That's the stab fund, Harry. I had a question why the word tax is there, but that's the actual legal description, tax stabilization fund. So it's recommended that we have 5% of our overall budget, and we're still running around 4, so we wanted to put some money back in there. Yes.
So we always just call it the stabilization fund, but technically it's this tax stabilization fund. Thank you. Any other questions? This requires a majority as well. All in favor? Opposed? This carries with a majority. Article 4. Who would like to make the motion on this?
I'm making a motion, Madam Moderator. I'll talk less. Madam Moderator?
Can you hear me? I move that the town vote to amend the town zoning bylaw by adding a new section 165-69.3, temporary moratorium on recreational marijuana establishments, and further to amend the table of contents to add section 165-69.3, temporary moratorium on recreational marijuana establishments as printed in the warrant.
Thank you very much. I need a second, please.
Madam Moderator, Harry Lefty, 144 Jewett Street. Second.
I need a report from the Finance and Advisory Board if you took one.
Madam Chairperson, Finance and Advisory Committee did not vote on this.
Thank you. And I would like a report from the Planning Board, please.
Madam Moderator, Harry Lefty, Madam Moderator, Harry Lafayette from the Georgetown Planning Board as a member. Just a real quick. The Planning Board, in essence, did approve all of this with some minor word changes, which I believe the selectmen might bring up later. With respect, I think, do we need to correct the motion? Because there are actually 3 sections to this.
Well, right now, we're accepting the motion, or discussing the motion as it has been read.
So this is only the temporary moratorium we're discussing. We're not talking about 165, 69.
If we need an amendment, I will expect to hear that. Mr. Fowler?
Madam Moderator, I would like to offer an amendment, make a motion to amend the original motion, sorry about that, to strike out the words, or until such time as the town adopts zoning bylaw amendments that regulate recreational marijuana establishments. So essentially, the moratorium will be in effect through June 30th, 2018. The way it's presently written allows, it's kind of open-ended.
Okay, hang on a second. So I need the exact amendment, and you have put it in.
I'll read it.
Thank you.
Section 165.69.3, temporary moratorium. The reasons set forth above, notwithstanding any provisions of the zoning bylaw to the contrary, the town hereby adopts a temporary moratorium on the use of land or structures for recreational marijuana establishment and other uses related to recreational marijuana. The moratorium shall be in effect through June 30th, 2018. During the moratorium period, the town shall undertake a planning process to address the potential impacts of recreational marijuana in the town, and to consider the Cannabis Control Commission regulations regarding recreational marijuana establishments, and shall consider adopting new zoning bylaws in response to those new issues, or take any action relative thereto.
Thank you. So now we're going to vote on the amendment only. And I heard a second?
Second, Harry Lafayette, 144 George Street.
And we have it in writing for our town clerk, correct? Okay. So, would you like to explain why the amendment only?
Because we did not want this to go beyond June 30th of 2018. But the language as presented would allow the zoning regulation to be postponed or continued past June 30th of 2018. And the understanding that we have as a board of selectmen is that July 1st is the deadline for the state to actually come up with the rules for recreational marijuana establishments. That's the way we understand it. That's why we wanted to take that out, so we wouldn't go beyond June. Preferably like to see this done by March, so we can get it to the Attorney General, so we can have approval of whatever we decide.
At our annual time.
We may hear from the state that it gets delayed even further. We'd take that up at the next town meeting, if so be it.
Okay. So that's the reason for the amendment. Is there any discussion on the amendment? Yes, sir.
You did not take out the or take any action relative thereto at the end of the motion. Is there a reason why we had that vague language remain?
To be honest, we thought that by striking out that, we would just wait. We just wanted to cut it off on June 30th. So maybe.
No, misunderstanding, Mr. Service. I understand you're taking out or until such time as the town adopts zoning.
Right.
Right? But I'm looking at the end of Article Section 3 for shorthand, and we still have or take any action relative thereto.
But.
And to address the issue you wish to address, Ms. Enos, was there a public hearing on this moratorium article?
Harry, excuse me, we'll get an answer. Harry? You can stay there. Harry? Was there a public hearing?
Yes, I can tell you that the planning board held a public hearing and an advertised public hearing for this.
Okay, now,
When?
September 27th, I just got an answer from someplace on the other side of the room.
Thank you. That should, in the ordinary course, at least when I was attending meetings on a regular basis, would have been a part of the report.
Or take any action relative thereto is usually in the warrant article, not necessarily in the motion, correct? Right. But that's why the language changes sometimes. A warrant article language is different than a motion article. Okay. Any other discussion on the amendment? Okay, now, the amendment will require a majority for the amendment. Okay, just double checking. That's why town council said. So, the amendment will require a majority. So we're going to handle that part first by itself. All in favor of the amendment? Opposed? The amendment carries by majority. So now we are discussing the amended motion. Is there anybody that would like to come forward and discuss the amended motion? In other words, this whole project.
I urge at least 40 people present to vote no. The reason for that is we already have, as I understand it, an agreement with Healthy Farms that they will be able to go and start selling retail when retail sales can start. If they're delayed beyond July 1st, the town will be losing 3% on every sale at retail they make. By agreeing to this moratorium, we are excusing the members of our planning board and our town planner for not having performed due diligence in accomplishing a real bylaw by this time.
Thank you. Is there anybody else? So any other discussion? Someone's coming to a microphone? Okay.
Hi, Paula Hooper, Central Street. All I'd like to say is I have kids in this town. I was against the vote already. Anything we can do to delay retail sales in this town, I am 100% for.
Thank you. Anybody else? There's still a question on the table.
All right, so there's a little bit of confusion on the section, not the language, of 16569.3 and .2. For some reason, it's kind of messed up. So we don't know, so can my motion include both section 2 and section 3?
Changes set forth in the warrant, in Article 4, as printed in the warrant, which amends Section 165.69-.2, and as well as 165.69.3, and makes the change to the table of contents that's set forth in the warrant article.
Okay.
I definitely drew the short straw tonight.
So what's under the discussion here is part of what was written in the warrant, said 165.69.2 as well as 165.69.3. The motion only included .3 in both locations. So to fix that, we are going to
Make an amendment so that section 165-69.3 is included as printed.
okay, so the amendment would be, my understanding.
169.3
So that the amendment would say that 165.69.2 is included in the amendment as printed in the warrant.
I'll make that motion, David Surface, 2 Littlefield Lane, Georgetown, Mass.
Okay? That straightens it out. That way it covers 69.3 and .2.
And amends the table of contents accordingly.
And amends the table of contents. Okay, now I need a second on that amendment. Okay, so now a discussion just on the amendment portion of including 69.2 as well as 69.3 and the table. Yes.
Madam Moderator, Steve Epstein, 55 West Street. I would like to hear the exact motion that is, as it will appear once it is amended, so we all have heard what we are in fact voting on.
The amendments to set forth in the warrant. Sections 165,
So it will read to include 165.69.3 and 165.69.2 as written in the warrant.
Does that not put us back to the problem we had before?
Thank you, Madam Moderator. The motion was, the amendment passed already to delete the language in section 165.69.3 that begins after June 30, 2018, or until such time as the town adopts zoning bylaw amendments that regulate recreational marijuana establishments. That amendment passed. The current amendment would include the language that's printed in the warrant that creates a new section 165.69.2 as printed in the warrant. So the vote, if that were to pass, the ultimate vote will be the language that's printed in the warrant that amends that creates the new section 165.69.2 and section 165.69.3 with the exception of the language that was amended out in 69.3.
Madam Moderator, and then
Okay.
also to amend section 165-7 to add the new definition.
That's correct. The table.
Yes, the table of contents as well. That's already been clarified. Yes.
Paul Nelson, 4 Hall 3, Madam Moderator.
Yes.
In reading the recreational marijuana establishment definition, it looks to me like it doesn't identify both recreational and medical as being different. If you look at the definition, there's nothing in there that would exclude or would allow a medical marijuana facility to be open here, because the fact is recreational definition includes or doesn't exclude medical.
Correct. Because we already had that in our zoning previously. Correct? Medical. Okay. Sure. Take care of the typo. Okay, hang on. Oh. Okay, so in answer to your question.
Okay, now, to answer that question, further in the definition under 169.69.2, it establishes regulations regarding licensing of commercial activities, which would be the recreation.
Okay.
It's about the middle of the
Right, but how can,
So they're two separate things. They're two separate things.
so medical wouldn't be commercial? I mean, it's hard to believe, wouldn't charge money for it.
It's not recreational.
Not right.
Commercial is a reference to recreation.
It would have been clearer if they used that language.
Yeah.
Because now I intend to shut down
No, it does not.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mr. Epstein?
That nasty last clause of 165.69.3 is printed in the warrant is still in the motion. Or take any action relative thereto.
Steve, my motion never included that, you're right. That's the
You're making references to as printed in the warrant. That's clarified.
I read it verbatim.
But not, or take any action, other action thereto. That's not in the motion. Okay, anybody else?
The amended motion.
Correct.
I didn't take that out. All I took out was the ability to push things forward.
Correct. Yes, sir, over here.
I'm James Ogden, Thurlow Street. I think Steve Epstein's point is you guys want to add a temporary moratorium in chapter 165, 69.3 that includes the words or take any action relative thereto, as printed on this warrant. You're going to take this language, put it in the zoning bylaw.
Yeah, we didn't take that out. Maybe that's a question for legal counsel. What does that exactly mean? Would that mean that the planning board could push it further out? I mean, if we want to talk about moving that too, we'll take that out too, but what does it mean?
Now, I'm already responsive question. Typically, that clause would be included as a separate, in a separate line from the language in section 165.693, which I think was the intention. So, for clarity's sake, we could certainly, somebody could make a motion to take that language out. It's language that's included in a warrant that would allow town meeting to discuss and amend an article to the extent that something was within the scope of the article, but that language typically would not be included in any kind of a zoning bylaw.
Correct.
So, Madam Moderator, I make a motion that we further delete or take any action relative thereto on the,
Out of your motion.
out of motion.
Okay.
Second, Madam.
Second. So I need to go back to that amendment,
Second, Madam.
Harry.
Carry on to table.
So, or take any action relative thereto will not be in the motion. So, that is the second amendment. So we need to take care of that before we can take care of anything else. Okay, so we're one motion behind here. So, the motion to add 165.69.3 and 165.69.2, we had a motion, we had a second. That was not voted on yet. And the table of contents, correct. So I need to vote on that first, before we do anything else. All in favor of that particular change? Opposed? Okay, now we have another motion on the floor to take out the language, or take any action relative thereto, out of the motion.
It hasn't been seconded, I seconded it.
It was. Thank you. So, to vote on that particular one, is there any discussion on taking that language out? Not on the whole motion yet, just taking that language out. Majority, all in favor? Opposed? It passes by majority, so that language is now out. Is there any other discussion on this article?
Is this on? Yes. Mary Ann Nelson, 4 Tall Tree Way. This was mentioned before. I would like to see the wording changed on it. When it describes recreational marijuana establishment, the last part of the definition says marijuana retailer or any other type of licensed marijuana-related business, which sounds to me like it's also talking about medical marijuana. And if that is so, I think that part of it should be taken out.
Okay, let me double check here. Harry?
Madam Moderator, if you will, Harry Locatier, member of the planning board. During the planning board public hearing for this article, the planning board, to my knowledge, did vote to recommend to the select board and town meeting to change that definition slightly by adding the words non-medical in between the word licensed non-medical marijuana related business, so that it would say exactly as it says, but it would say or any other type of licensed non-medical marijuana related business.
Thank you. That's not what was in the, just a moment. That's not what was in the warrant.
No, it is definitely not in the warrant, and I recognize it, Madam Moderator.
Okay.
I'm just saying.
Okay. So we're still open to discussion on Article 4 as amended.
Right, Jim?
If you'd like me to put that, if it would be acceptable, I would be willing to put that into a motion to amend the main motion on the floor right now.
Sure.
Madam Moderator, I move to amend the
definition
Section 165-7, definitions and word usage, subsection B, definition for recreational marijuana establishments to insert the words non-medical after the word licensed and before the word marijuana related, before the phrase marijuana related business.
So it would read, or any other type of licensed non-medical marijuana related business.
Absolutely, that's correct. That is my motion.
Okay. So now we take a second on that.
Second, Robert Kelly, 20 Cedar Lane.
Thank you. Discussions on that portion of the amendment.
Mr. Epstein, 55 West Street. If the moving party and the person who made the second would accept a friendly amendment, all it needs is one word instead of two, licensed recreational marijuana related business. One word, recreational. Just insert it right there before marijuana related business in the last line.
Well, it's under the definition of recreational marijuana.
Then the motion itself is totally unnecessary because I believe we have a total separate section that deals with the medical marijuana establishments in town.
Okay, thank you.
So it's totally unnecessary, we should vote no.
Thank you. Anybody else on the amendment?
Madam Moderator, I had a question on point of order. Should we not vote the original amendment on the floor first and then go back to Harry's?
We have voted them in order. We have voted them in order as they came up.
We have not adopted the full-fledged changes of the actual moratorium in itself has not passed yet.
We can't do that until each amendment has been handled individually.
Oh, so you're amending the original, you're not going back and just amending the section. It said that, he wants to amend the section. You should have amended the actual warrant article itself.
My intent, sir, was to amend what we have already amended in the form that it was, in the status it had at that time. If I misspoke, my apologies. But I believe I was doing it correctly.
Okay, so we're still in order. We're still in order. So, the amendment on the floor now is to add to the definition of recreational marijuana establishment the term marijuana retailer or any other type of licensed non-medical marijuana related business. I said type of licensed non-medical marijuana. So whether you feel that's necessary or not, that would be the vote at this point in time. So all in favor of that amendment? Opposed? It carries by a majority. So now we're back to the original motion it has been amended 5 times. You think it's easy to keep track of this, huh? Or type it, right. So, this does require a 2/3 majority for a temporary moratorium on recreational marijuana establishments that would go through until June 30th of 2018, basically. That's where we're standing. So that's what we're voting on now. 2/3 majority, all in favor? Opposed? The moratorium passes by more than 2/3 majority.
Motion to adjourn town meeting, Madam Moderator.
Thank you very much. I was just going to accept that. I need a second. All in favor? Opposed? Thank you very much for your consistency in coming here and your patience with all of this town meeting.